Mouthbreathers Radio, Episode 4. This is your announcer, FilmApe, and we are talking about everything that has happened in the Junkverse from October 9th to October 16th, including Film Junk getting hit with a malicious spam link, Jay blasting the Babylon trailer, and should TV be logged on Letterboxd, as well as a whole lot more. So keep it tuned right here to Mouthbreathers Radio. And now, your host, Drew, new James.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be back for another week. And, yeah, I'm excited to be here. How are you today, FilmApe?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Glad to be here talking junk with you. And it was kind of a quiet junk week. But after the monster week that was the week before, good to have a little bit of a breather.
Mm. They did have a review of a movie that I'm very excited for, Triangle of Sadness, but unfortunately I haven't been able to see it yet.
Did you listen to the review?
I did listen to the main review, but I didn't listen to the spoiler review.
Okay.
Usually, that's how I go.
Is it playing close to you?
No, I mean, maybe about an hour and a half away, but yeah, not very close.
It always kind of warms my heart when FJ gets a screener. Especially a screener for like a big film, like Triangle of Sadness to me is a big film, right? So the fact that they got hooked up with that always warms the heart.
But the way what they revealed on the episode is that they had to watch it, I'm pretty sure, all on their laptops. So that's somewhat questionable.
Okay. Like because
but, you got a screener, that's still pretty cool.
Because of the copyright stuff and all that.
Yeah, Jay was saying he was trying to like AirPlay it, but it just blacks out the screen.
Okay.
Because of the copyright protection.
Okay.
So, yeah. But it kind of reminds me of I saw like Halloween Ends came out this week, and I was really questioning do I go to the theater to see this, or do I watch it on Peacock? And I ended up watching it on Peacock because I just I just wanted to watch it, and it was right there.
How was the streaming experience? Because Halloween Ends is not available for streaming in Canada, so theater was our only option.
Oh, nice. Well, that kind of sucks, but I mean, it was all right. I watched it at my parents' house the first time, which is just they don't have a 4K TV, so that was all right. But then I've been rewatching it a bit. I might finish it tonight. My rating, spoiler alert, might go up just a little bit, but I still wasn't the biggest fan. But here, I have a 4K TV, so I've been able to watch it in UHD.
Okay. But I know that that's not your first choice. I know that theater is generally your first choice, right?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to see it in the theater, but I was going to wait for my friend to see it, or to see it with him, I mean. But he couldn't go until later, on a Saturday, and I was just dying to watch it. Because I don't know, it's just how it is for me. And then eventually he could come over one night, on Friday, and I was just let's just watch it at home. So we did.
I think that's going to be a big conversation on the next Film Junk, and I cannot wait for that. So everyone, stay tuned. Tune in next week for episode 5, where I'm assuming we'll be diving deep into what they have to say. And if anything, right now, I mean, at least Halloween Ends inspired a reaction out of people, whether it's positive or negative. I think it's a success in regards to at least getting people talking. You know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, I think the last movie did that too. Halloween Kills inspired a strong reaction, and it seems this one has inspired an equally strong reaction, but for different reasons. So,
I mean, speaking of strong reactions, should we get into the top 5? Because this first thing is a real strong reaction.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Launch commit. Liftoff. We have liftoff.
Roger, roll complete.
Drew, what's our number 5 FJ topic for this week?
Number 5 is the Discord was attacked by a spammer. And this was scary, to be honest. I woke up in fear at about, I forget when it was. I think it was at like 7 a.m. Maybe later than that. It was like 10 a.m. But I just heard like, because whenever I get a Discord ping, I'm usually excited because I'm like, someone's talking to me. But like I just got ping by ping by ping. It was just like bing, 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 like over and over again. And I was like, this isn't right. And then I went and looked, and it was just somebody trying to, link you to a malicious site.
Do you know what the link was? I got there too late, so I never saw what the link was.
I forget exactly. It was just, I don't even remember exactly. I kind of just looked at it for a second, and I was like, oh, it's a spammer, and then I moved on.
So for anyone curious, and I think Jason in Crystal Lake pretty much sums it up. He said a spammer came in and posted a phishing link, adding everyone in literally every public channel, and then an admin was on it and started deleting them within a minute, and that admin was none other than Frank Knezik. And are you happy that Frank is looking over the Discord, protecting us?
He's doing a good job, clearly. He managed to take care of that situation, so.
I'm interested what your first thought is when you started getting all those pings. Were you like, man, I'm the most popular person in the world? Or what did you think was happening? It was just
pure confusion, really. I was just like, what is happening here?
What if it was?
There's no way somebody was messaging me over and over again.
What if it had been like the death of someone in the FJ universe, and it was like just making sure everybody knew about it?
That wasn't my first thought, but that would be terrible if that did happen.
Yeah, definitely my first thought. And like False posted, is there a name for the anxiety a person feels when a red number dot appears next to an application? And then she posted a screenshot of what it looked like, and it was literally just like every group had a notification basically for everybody in it. And basically I've been like lurking for a while recently, and I just went on and I was like, no way is this like a thing. No way is this for me. And then basically just cleared everything out and got back on with my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is a weird thing. There's so many channels on this Discord. It's just like insane, the number of channels. And so whenever that happened, I had to go through and click on every one of them so that I could get that all cleared out.
Has this ever happened before? Has Film Junk ever been compromised by likely a foreign entity such as like Russia or China?
Well, I mean, the website, when that was around, like you would get lots of. That was a problem for a while. Where you get lots of like random comments and spammy comments.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was like one of the reasons that they went to the Patreon, right? Because it was getting bad in the end. I forgot.
Yeah, if you go to like, there's some blogs I still go to, and like a lot of them are just like overloaded with spam, and because I guess so many not that many people read blogs, so it just becomes like a haven for spammers. And and also this is like a long time ago, but Film Junk used to have a message board that like you'd be on the site, but you could click like message board, and that because they didn't like in the heyday of the message board around like 2007. That's how I see it, at least. They didn't have one, and I would always suggest like they should get a message board. And then around 2010, they finally did get one, and but then it was like somewhat active, but then it started getting filled with spammers. And that's when Sean, pulled the plug because he couldn't take it. Don't want to go through all that.
Yeah, basically just nuked the forums. How would someone get into the Discord? I don't even know how you like get into it. I don't even know how I got into it. I feel like I've always been on the Discord.
Discord's a weird thing because I feel like you have to be sent an invite, or you have to. I mean, I guess if you go to the link tree, then there's that link on that website, the Film Junk link tree. So I don't know, maybe through some sort of like, crazy spammer search engine, they just found this, but I'm not sure exactly.
How likely do you think that it was a foreign entity trying to silence Jay for everything that he's revealed already in Cursed Films and possibly what he will reveal in season 3. Do you think they were just trying to take him down?
It's possible. I mean, maybe Putin saw the Stalker episode and didn't like it so much, and then sent some foreign agents.
I think you're onto something, Drew. I think we should not be ruling that out, at least.
Yeah,
but
I'm
glad that Frankie was there keeping us safe. He was able to delete everything because really, by the time I got there, all that remained of this malicious user was just some red dots and no links. So thank you, Frankie.
Yes, thank you, Frank.
So talking point number 4, we got Jay blasting the Babylon trailer, directed by what's his name?
Directed by Damien Chazelle, the master behind La La Land.
And we pulled the clip here, so let's take a listen.
I have to say that I am getting the same vibes that I got from the Amsterdam trailer with the Babylon trailer.
I'm very, everything's being set in the 30s, and I don't get it. I'm also with you on
like
Babylon.
Cartoony, like over the top. This is why I didn't care to see it, because it just reminded me of Hudsucker or I Heart Huckabees, and that sort of like existing in a cartoony version of reality. And I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, I think this movie, there's elements of cartooniness. It's honestly not that cartoony. It's more, if anything, leaning into reality.
So I know that this kind of rubbed you the wrong way, Drew. So why did this get your knickers in a twist?
Yeah, maybe I'm pulling too much out of, making too much out of it by saying he's attacking this trailer. But to be honest, so first of all, this all stems back to Amsterdam, which got, terrible reviews. And obviously David O. Russell is on the outs because, he's a douche for multiple reasons in his personal life.
He's on the outs, but then you see the cast that he got, and why would all these people want to work with him?
Well, that's the mysterious thing. I mean, I think he's made a name for himself in the industry before this. And I don't know if, in the acting world, I'm sure a lot of them think taking abuse is sort of necessary or something like that. But you look at somebody like Christian Bale, there has to be something he likes about working with this person. He's worked with them 3 times. And from reading a little bit into it, I think they actually developed the story together. He's not credited, but him and Christian Bale, David O. Russell and Christian Bale, developed the story. But yeah, so I'm a David O. Russell fan. Well, not a fan of him, but a fan of his movies. And I actually, this is a little embarrassing, but I have I Heart Huckabees tattoo that I got in 2012, and it says "Nothing's okay, so it's okay," which is I don't know, maybe the one tattoo I somewhat regret, but whatever. It is what it is. Nothing's okay, so it's okay.
The big thing for me is at least I Heart Huckabees. I don't know if I agree that it's comparable, and I haven't seen Amsterdam, but from the Amsterdam trailer, for whatever reason, David O. Russell started basically not even putting effort in. From American Hustle on, it's literally just been actors in period costume, talking. And that's it. There's nothing in the frames, and I don't get it. David O. Russell used to have kinetic camera work and interesting settings, and so I'm on board with that. Even if whatever type of person he is, if he's putting effort in, but I just think he got to be honest, after Fincher did Social Network, he got pretty lazy in regards to just he established a formula and a style guide and just stuck with it. And David O. Russell has basically just been I'm going to stick with having nice looking actors in period costumes talking, and that's it. So yeah. I agree. I guess I don't agree with Jay. I think Babylon looks better than Amsterdam looked. It looks like there's some thought put into it. I think Babylon's still going to be a garbage film. And really, Frankie kind of...
Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah. I just think it's just try. It's just try hard, and it's it's aping on films that came before it, like Wolf of Wall Street and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, casting actors from both those films. And I think Damien Chazelle.
These are the stars of the day. I mean, I don't know. I think part of it is like wanting to be marketable, but I mean, I think there's some interesting people in the cast. There's Tobey Maguire in the cast. I think he looks interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too open to this kind of stuff. But if you look at something like, because he called the one thing that triggered me was when Jay said that the film looked cartoony, and I just don't. Maybe it's a little bit cartoony, but like if you look at something like Singing in the Rain, like is that? Of course, that's cartoony, but like we're kind of going with the feeling of like classic Hollywood and like looking into that. I feel like that's gonna feel a little bit cartoony. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think in regards to what Jay's point is, just that everything just like seems put on and kind of fake, and the dialogue, again just seems kind of try hard to me. And look, I will be super happy to eat my words if Babylon comes out and is like amazing and is fun. But to me, it just seems like kind of tired. Like I am bored of these like excess type films. And this seems to me like Damien Chazelle being like, I'm not the safe guy. I'm like a bad boy now. And I don't know. So in regards to that, I think Babylon looks better than Amsterdam. Did you get out and see Amsterdam?
Well, yeah, I did. And that's another thing I was going to bring up to try to connect it with, because he was saying that Babylon's giving him Amsterdam vibes, but I don't see that at all. But I did see Amsterdam. I was wanting to give it the benefit of the doubt because I like David O. Russell's other movies. And there's not really any movies of his that I like adamantly dislike. Well, no, I do. I'm not a big fan of American Hustle. That's not good at all. And then Spanking the Monkey is also, not really worth watching.
Yes, it is not.
But I was wanting to like Amsterdam, but I didn't. There's maybe a couple interesting ideas, but it kind of felt like really like you're the one trying to tell us this stuff, and and then other than that, it was just kind of boring. But so yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan, but the thing that was bothering me with Jay's criticism, and Jay, if you're listening to this, no offense, I'm just giving my opinion here, but
he's not listening to this.
He might be.
I don't think so.
On one episode. But it's always possible, which is why I try not to say anything.
Just similar to like when you pray, you're like, well, it's possible that God will hear us. We're like, Jay, hear us, notice us.
Well, I do know he at least listened to the first episode, but it's just his criticism of being cartoony seems like something. I remember him saying that American Hustle was cartoony. I feel like it's just coming from that because I don't feel like it really looks cartoony per se. And him saying it looks like I Heart Huckabees, like, and that's cartoony, I just don't see the connection between those three things. Like, I Heart Huckabees, sure, is maybe a little bit cartoony, but what it's going for is completely different. And I think Frank hit the nail on the head with, like, Frank didn't like the movie, but, like, he was saying, like, it's kind of going for a realism, at least compared to his other movies, but it's still not hitting it. And, I don't know. Maybe I was just annoyed because I'm excited for Babylon. I'm annoyed when anyone blasts it, but
are you a big Chazelle fanboy?
I'm just a fanboy of movies, I'm just kidding, but I'm not a big fanboy. It's not like Chazelle is like a PTA to me or something. It's just I don't know. I do like his movies, and I think this looks good, and yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it, but it could be good or it could be bad. It's all entirely possible. So
the question is, because there was a whole veto discussion at the beginning of this last episode, and do you think Jay will veto Babylon? Will he have a veto left for Babylon?
I don't think he'll veto it. I don't think he'll even want to veto it. I think a part of him will want to see it, but yeah, that's an interesting thing. Has there ever been a veto that any of them have given that has bothered you? That you've been like you wanted to watch that movie?
Not that I can think of. Like the veto is kind of like this like Fugazi thing where they like talk about it, but I'm like, what even is it? Like I
definitely
don't
is
really
like that.
care that
Sure.
much about it. Like, I can't. I wish I could even list off the top of my head what has been vetoed this year. Like they didn't even they didn't even decide. Like it seemed like that Jay was going to have to use a veto and Sean was going to have to use a veto on Amsterdam, but it seemed like it just got dropped. So I don't know if what they ended up even deciding whether vetoes were used or not.
Yeah, I don't think they actually keep track of like what it even means to actually give a veto. That's why I don't. I always thought it was kind of silly, just the whole idea. Like, just decide whether you want to see the movie or not, and then review it or not. Like, it doesn't have to have this whole. But then that's part of the anti-entertainment thing. So,
Yeah, I think the veto itself is not that interesting. The conversation around the veto is interesting to me. So I think keep doing what they're doing. And that's leading us into this next talking point, which is they asked for gripes on Patreon. So is that one of your gripes? Vetoes? Is that a gripe for you?
I mean, maybe because something I was going to say is that the thing that bothered me, like, not that like I'm a huge supporter of this, but like I remember Jay vetoed Avengers Endgame, and that bothered me a bit because like whether you like it or not, like first of all, I am a fan of those movies to some degree, so maybe I'm being overly defensive of them, but it just felt like it was an important movie at the time to see, and he vetoed it. And I remember even Frank saying like, because Frank wasn't that excited, but he was like, you don't want to like after all these movies that we've seen, see like the pinnacle of it, but he vetoed it, and then he eventually watched it on Blu-ray and liked it. So I don't know. I was a little annoyed about that back then, but that was like 2019, and I think nothing since then has really bothered me in terms of what he's vetoed. But there's not really. I'm trying to think if I have any strong gripes. I don't know. Nothing bothers me too much now. Other than the Skype thing, like sometimes they talk over each other, which I know is hard. I mean, like doing this podcast, I have a hard time. Like sometimes I talk over you and stuff, so I can relate to that. But that's more of like that's just how it is these days. Like it's easier to do it over Skype, so I can't really get onto them for that.
Yeah, that's one thing. People have been like commenting like, Frank, stop talking over everybody and yada yada yada, but it's like it's pretty much impossible to, particularly if you're having like a heated conversation or like a more energetic conversation, to not talk over somebody else. Like it is just the nature of what's being done. Gripe wise, I mean, there was a bunch of people griping, or most people on the Patreon were just like, oh, you should watch this movie or do this premium podcast. But we pulled a bunch of comments that were, I thought, pretty good. Honestly, the best gripe, and I have no way of even confirming this because I'm not a nerd, but creator supporter said, I only have one issue, and that's the fact Jay uses the TNG Star Trek Next Generation, I'm assuming, beaming away sound effect for departure and of arrival instead of using the proper arrival sound effect. Other than that, the show is good as it has always been. So is that something that you've noticed and you gripe about, him not using the proper arrival sound effect?
It definitely wouldn't be something I would notice or even gripe about, but it's an interesting one though. It's a deep cut.
And Mr. Dalton said, I'd never noticed this before, and now it's going to kill me. And Kim said, this is the only comment that matters. Were there any comments that stood out to you?
Well, I've got the list pulled up in front of me right here. I'm just looking through. Like you said, a lot of them are people just requesting movies and whatnot. One person says they'd love a source listing for the soundboard drops, which would be pretty awesome.
I think the quest of finding the source materials, that is how you like earn them. You know what I mean? Like you need to learn them for yourself.
There's some of them that's like it feels impossible to even look them up. Like, what would I look up for someone saying like, okay, like. I think that's a franchise kicks, but
okay.
A lot of them are just toy reviewers and whatnot. But it would still be cool, but like you said, it does make sense for, the thrill of the hunt is important.
Mr. Quigley here says, long hauler here. Anytime Gasman or Darth shows up is a plus in my book, especially at the same time, and everyone else as well. Not a dud in the bunch, so no complaints there. Everyone kills it. I guess I would like to hear more about your 3 lives, and by extension, Greg and Jerry, like how Sean's kids are doing, what projects Jay is working on, or what exactly is the sports goth look. And I know Frank is a private guy for likely good reasons, but a little insight into what makes us love your trio might go a long way. Seems like it's been missing. Is that something that you feel has been missing? Just the private life details?
I mean, I would be interested maybe in some of that stuff, but at the same time, I would never want to ask because, I mean, I understand why they want to keep their stuff private. But, yeah. But it's interesting because I don't, like, other than Sean, like, I know Sean has a wife and kids. Like, I don't know anything about any of these guys' lives. Like, really, outside of Film Junk.
Which is, like, a good thing. And I'll tell you off air some, like, stuff I found out about Frankie. I don't know if it's, like, a thing or not. But someone private messaged me something about Frank, and I was like, interesting. But that's for off air.
I'm going to bleep that. If Frank hears this, he's not going to like that.
Levi Rogers says, hero here. Frankie, I'm genuinely curious. Would you be interested in selling off your retro video game collection? I've been reselling on eBay for nearly a year and would be happy to penetrate the well and bubble to come buy your collection. Could work out a margin that you'd be happy with, and we could officially kickstart the Frankie Flip series we're all dying for. You could break down how much you bought each game for, and then how much you're selling it to me for. Interested? I'm sure we could even work out a deal to purchase your box of slips or anything else you're looking to unload. It could make for some spicy Patreon content. Would you be interested in that?
I mean, it would definitely make for great Patreon content, but I think Frank actually talked about in the last episode that he talks about flipping stuff, but he's never actually done it.
Yeah, so, I can't imagine that Frankie would look at that and be positive towards selling it. And I went on this person's Shrimp Boy collectibles, and it's a very nice, nicely laid out eBay store, nice photographs. Price wise, pretty pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Amadeus DVD used for $10 Canadian plus shipping.
Interesting.
Oh, it's actually free shipping, so that's a little bit better. And this person is located in Windsor. So no gripes for you then? You saw that?
Not really. It's funny. I'm looking at one comment right now. It says, this is from Kenneth Serini. And he says, how much tier do I need to drop to get you guys to finally watch Criterion's Equinox? Just kidding. It's not that important, but it would be cool. But the funny thing is he doesn't know that long ago, Jay actually did a video review of Equinox.
Totally. That's a deep cut.
I don't even know if it's available online anymore. Jay went and scrubbed a lot of that stuff.
Did he really?
Yeah. There are like maybe 1 or 2 video reviews that are findable, but other than that, most of them are gone.
And Equinox is awesome.
Yeah, I need to watch that. I mean, Jay's video reviews, that's how I discovered Danger Diabolique, which is one of my favorite movies. So
yes, that is also one of my favorite movies. So no gripes to you. Film Junk is perfect to you?
I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's a strong 5. I mean, there's lots of 5s that I've given that I wouldn't say that's a perfect movie. But nothing's perfect, so it's as perfect as it can get.
We can get into something, and this is my opinion. I think I've brought it up to Drew previously, and I don't think you agreed with me, but I do feel like Film Junk has a tad bit of animosity towards their listeners. And so anytime someone tells them to do something, or asks them to do something, number one, they're likely not going to do it. Number two, if they do it, they're going to be very salty about
I mean,
it.
look at this Fulci thing that's been going on.
Yeah,
They've been
like
salty about that.
and I think it contributes to the anti-entertainment. I just learned, like, when I first started, I'd be like commenting a lot and be like, oh, you should do this or this, and like thinking that they actually cared. But at the end of the day, we're the mouth breathers and they're the creators, so they don't have to listen to us. It's nice that they humor us once in a while by asking what our like gripes are, but I feel like do not expect them to like do anything or respond to any of these gripes.
Well, I feel like the asking for gripes, that's all Sean. Like, he wants to know feedback. He wants to know what can make them better. But in terms of Jay, like, you know, he just wants to do his own thing.
Definitely. And
nothing
Frankie boy is everything's personal, right? So he's not going to do anything. But this comment here, Brian Rooney's, not to gas anybody up, but the podcast is banging on all cylinders. Very cool to see the junker community grow and improve over the years. I'm not opposed to more food tastings, though. Bring back the pineapple soda and surprise boxes of treats. And that was like a thing that died out. And I mean, the pandemic didn't help things, but for a while, it seemed like every week or every month they were getting stuff sent to them. And that was always fun.
Awesome.
And like those.
I always wished I could have sent them stuff, but I never, had the quiddly to be able to do that. And plus, I don't know why I would have sent them anyway. That would have been that interesting.
Well, once the bar is set to like custom Junkos, it's like, what am I going to, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that's going to even get close. Because then they had those custom TMNT figures as well. Like, there are some pretty creative FJ fans out there, but that was cool. That generated a lot of social media comment or content for FJ, just in regards to showing off the stuff that they were getting sent. And so it would be cool to see that rev back up and to have people sending them stuff again.
Well, Frank was just talking about, I think on the last episode, about somebody sending him something. I forget what it was, but
yeah, he got
I think regularly gets.
He got a baseball hat from a baseball team. That sounded awesome. And then he had a signed. He had a signed baseball from Dwyer Brown, I think, who played Kevin Costner's dad on Field of Dreams.
That's interesting.
And I'm like, that's pretty cool stuff. So whoever did that, tip of the old chapeau to you for hooking up Frankie. But I wonder if the other junkers were a little jelly of that.
Maybe, but they've all gotten their fair share of things. But yeah, it's awesome that they're at the level where, their fans want to send them things.
Yeah. If you had to think right off the top of your head what you would send them, what would you send them?
I really have no idea. That's why I wish I'm not like, as creative. I try to be creative, but I'm not at that level as someone who would make those Junko Pops, which is just amazing.
My older brother came across Nothing But Trouble at a thrift store, the laser disc of it, and it was like $3 and he didn't buy it, and I was like, dude, you should go back and buy that and send it to Film Junk. And he said he was going to, but then he never did. And I actually think he ended up as well with some Funko Pops, some like really stupid ones he was going to send in, but that never happened either. So the shipping kills you. Even in the same country, the shipping kills you. You got to be a super fan in order to be spending that extra money.
Yeah, I mean, shipping is a pain. I experienced that a little bit where I was like sold off my Vinegar Syndrome collection, which maybe I shouldn't admit, but I had to deal with some shipping there. And one time I had to ship to Canada, and that was brutal. And I'll probably never do that again unless I really want to.
And I mean, we've talked about it. The FJ guys dealt with shipping when they were doing the USBs, and Jay's dealt with it, shipping out his various DVDs or Blu-rays. So, yeah, that is like a motivation killer. Even if I came across something that I was like, oh, it'd be cool to send that in to the FJ guys. Again, the shipping would kill me.
Yeah, that's one thing that I wish I would have got in terms of a Film Junk collector's item. is when Jay was shipping out the How to Build a Time Machine Blu-rays. I did get a Blu-ray, but for whatever reason, I couldn't afford to do his upper package, which was he included a Blu-ray, but he also gave you a Jay draws of whatever you wanted, which is awesome. I mean, I so wish I would have gotten that. But all I got was the Blu-ray.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to that got the Blu-ray and didn't get the J draws regrets not getting the J draws. I did get a J draws. I ended up with a drawing of the engineer from Prometheus, which was dope. I was super psyched about that. So
yeah, I don't know what I would ask them. I mean, that's the cool thing. I could have asked them for anything.
Yeah, well, I purposely didn't ask because I wanted the creator to decide, and so to have that, given how meaningful Prometheus is to the FJ universe, definitely glad to have that in a frame beside the FJ pin. So
yeah, that's pretty amazing. One thing that might have been cool is the engineer is obviously great, but it might have been cool for you to get like your famous FilmApe avatar, have him draw that.
Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe one day I'll get a commission, a J Chill commission.
Yeah,
I'll crowdfund some Quiddly for that.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Drew, what's the next talking point here?
Yep, number 2 is logging TV on Letterboxd. Is it okay? Is it not? I think this was in the Letterboxd police department, which is a secret thread, but in the Discord.
Should I believe that?
I don't know. I mean, if you want, you can. But I think it was Jason called me out on logging TV, and he was like, "What is this?" And he like said like, because I logged She-Hulk, and he was like, "This is something you do regularly. Like this is disgusting," and like put like a throw up emoji. But yeah. So to be honest, I do log a little bit of TV whenever I know that's a faux pas to many people, and but as the years have gone on, I used to be very strict with my Letterboxd. I still do have rules in place, but I like to keep it a little loose. Whenever I see something that's like a mini series, I like to give it a little log, and I tag it with a tag that says TV. And if you look at that tag, I've logged 22 miniseries. Some of them do have multiple seasons, but not very many. And it's 22 versus thousands of movies that I've logged. So I don't see this a big deal. But I'm not going around logging like YouTube videos. But yeah, that's my opinion. But I just want to discuss it a bit. How do you feel about this?
How do you think I feel about it, Drew?
Well, I know you hate it.
Yeah, I hate it so much. The big thing is like you don't need to juice your numbers at all, and I know that you don't see it as juicing, but I want to be able to look at the end of the year and be like, Drew watched X amount of movies. I don't want to have to go through and sort out the TV stuff. And like Aaron King on Letterboxd, who is literally the king of Letterboxd. Nobody watches even close to what this guy watches. Even with just film, he hits huge numbers, but then he also logs like short films and he logs TV.
See, that is worse
and
TV.
I hate that.
Oh, you see do TV too.
Yeah, I just hate that. Like it's I don't know. I'm a purist, and so I stand with those who are against TV. That being said, I haven't unfollowed you, Drew, because you're logging TV.
Yeah.
And I hope that She-Hulk getting logged, I hope it was a good experience for you. And even though I disagree, there should be a whole separate TV box for TV, in my opinion. But
I just know that's never going to come. And plus, I don't watch as much TV as I watch movies. But like, the only reason I log She-Hulk is because I've logged other MCU shows, so I just feel like I had to continue with that. But mainly I don't log these things to juice. I see merit in these things that I'm logging, and I see them as like movies in some sense, and that's why I want to log them, because I want to give them some sort of rating. Like for example, like I logged Nathan For You, Finding Francis. Like that was like kind of like a movie to me. Fishing with John. Like that's like anybody who hasn't seen that should watch that. I know this much is true. If that was considered a movie, that would have been my favorite movie of 2020. Same thing with Twin Peaks: The Return. That would have been my favorite thing of 2017. I mean, a lot of these things I think deserve the log, and like they just because I know there will never be a TV box. I just don't like the idea that they're just falling off into the ether. So.
Yeah, I see it as like there's other social media you can talk about that. I think we have to stand up and prevent TV from taking over. So I will never ever log TV as much as you're referencing great television. Did you log the newest season of Twin Peaks?
The newest, like the 2017 one, The Return?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and that was an easy 5. And I mean, I know Letterboxd has tried to prevent there from being TV added. They removed Twin Peaks like over and over again, but then they came up with a loophole where they were like, this screened at MoMA in its entirety, so they're like, now it's a movie and you can have it forever. So I don't know where their rules lie because, I mean, all the Marvel shows are included. I think their main thing is that they don't, as long as it's not open ended, as long as it's, a mini series kind of, then it stays on there. But yeah.
Yeah, it opens a whole can of worms. And I mean, at the end of the day, there's no perfect letterbox. Like I think Colin the Nods, what's his name now?
Xanadude?
No, he changed it today. I can't remember.
Oh, to the Halloween themed name.
Yeah. Colin the Dud.
I'm forgetting.
Colin the Dud, he was going on, I think, about run times for feature films, and there is like a big variation in regards to what a feature film is. I think the Academy says anything over 45 minutes. For me, it's anything over 60 minutes, and there are other organizations that say it has to be over 60 minutes. First off, if your short film is longer than 20 minutes, I'm likely never ever going to watch it because anything longer than 20 minutes, it's stupid. Just make a feature film. That's kind of how I feel about that. And,
I have a 25-minute short film that's out there.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's made in high school, but yeah.
Would you log it?
I mean, if it had a rating or had a Letterboxd log thing, then I would log it and give it a 5 and say it's a masterpiece.
But yeah, I think there is so much different stuff. Everyone has, as long as you can sleep at night, then just do you. And then, but like, I don't want to get into it again, but the whole changing poster thing, it's still annoying. It was annoying me all week because people had different Halloween Ends posters, and then I wouldn't realize that someone had logged it, and that just annoyed me too. So I'm a
the
purist.
poster's out of control right now. I like the fact that you can change posters, but I have seen so many posters, and I have gotten confused as to what I'm even looking at. So that is a factor.
There is no perfect letterbox. So Drew, while I disagree with you logging television, I'm not going to condemn you for it. You can keep doing your thing.
And I have to disagree with you on another point. I have to say I do go with the Academy. 45-minute is a feature rule.
But like, what feature film is 50 minutes? Except for like Dracula and like all that old stuff. Like,
well, let me take a look, because the reason I have stuck with that is because I have logged some things that are like around that length. I know one thing I did, which is not, I probably shouldn't have done, but I logged La Soufriere, which is a Werner Herzog film that's only like 38 minutes, and that's definitely not a feature, but it is in that weird zone.
Yeah, admittedly, I think Colin the Dud threw that in my face that I had logged some Herzog something or other that was not a feature film. So again, as much as I say this or that, even myself, I'm not perfect. So
I think The Burning Hell, I've logged that. That's 58 minutes long. It's a weird like 70s religious film where they're showing hell in this like insane way. Vernon, Florida, I think is in the 50-something minute range. Yeah, that's 55 minutes. PTA has a short film, or not a short film, I would consider it a film. Junun, which is a documentary that came out in 2015. He's like filming Johnny Greenwood in India, making a record with these Indian musicians. That I'm trying to look at the runtime here. That's 54 minutes. So there's a handful of things. Yeah, and then there's also like Sherlock Jr. I think it's only like 30 minutes. And the reason I consider that, because like back in the day, like the silent film era, they had no, like these rules hadn't been defined yet. And these were being screened in theaters, and I consider them films. But so I've logged a handful of those things. But like I've always said, like with the TV thing, I've logged like 22 TV things. That number is nothing compared to the thousands of things I've logged. The things that I've logged that are under 60 minutes is also probably like 22 things. I haven't counted exactly, but it looks like it's still in that zone. And yeah, so that's how I feel about it.
Basically, the Letterboxd rules are as big a mess as the manifesto rules. We really need Film Junk to actually step up and solidify these things in stone. Tell us heathens how to live our lives. So that is what I would like to see. Until then, we live in the chaos that is this world.
Yes, we do. We're stuck in it. So I think that brings us to our number one, which is puke stories. Frank had a pretty good puke story on the show this week. It was in relation to the Triangle of Sadness review. And because Triangle of Sadness has a puke moment, or several puke moments, there's a poster that showcases puking. And it led Frank to tell a story about how his friend was puking all over the place or something, and then he was literally cupping puke in his hands as not to like let the puke damage some stuff, which I found repulsive. I mean, I could never imagine. It's great that he did that. I could never imagine holding puke in my hands like that, unless it was my own puke.
I got the clip here. Let's hear it from Frankie Boy's own mouth.
It also, like, puke doesn't bother me. I don't know if that's, you can cue another hero if you want, but I don't know. It doesn't, I've had to clean up puke. I've had to clean up lots of stuff. People have puked and I've cupped it in my hands to save other people's stuff. Like, I don't know. Puke does not bother me.
Wow. That's definitely a hero move.
It was a hero move. Didn't work all that well, but it did work for the most part. When it comes to stuff like that, I don't know why. Doesn't affect me.
So let me first say, so Frank feels like revealing what type of bread he uses for sandwiches is too personal. Like, so that's, but telling us stories about him like scooping up puke with his hands or like dumping his pants, this is full, he's free to do this. Frankie has a very weird definition of what is personal and what is not personal. And to be honest, talking about puking, I don't want to talk about it. I don't even want to hear about it. But it was unleashed this week by Film Junk. And we ended up with lots of comments, lots of people talking about puke. And Drew, obviously you do not think puking is too personal, do you?
No, I mean, it all depends on your own definition. But I'm assuming that since you think it's too personal, you wouldn't want to reveal any of your own puking stories.
No, I can. I mean, I don't have very many. I have a couple recent ones. They're all stupid.
Well, I do want to ask, how many times a year, because this is something that was discussed, how many times a year do you think you vomit?
I know that I've gone years without vomiting.
Okay, because I will puke at least 20 times a year.
You're blowing chunks left and right.
Yeah. Part of that is because of drinking. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm some massive alcoholic, but
yeah, so I don't drink, so that helps a lot there. I think the last time I puked is because I like ate too much ham. And then the time before that, I ate too much charcuterie and drank like a ton of water. And then I just puked like big time. But those are the last few times. I used to get migraines when I was a kid, and I would throw up a lot because of that. That would be the time that I would throw up. I also threw up after a screening of Tim Allen's The Santa Claus. I have a memory of driving home and having eaten like a kid's pack during the Santa Claus, and I guess that made me sick, and I like puked in the car like at home. And I remember my parents not being very happy about that.
Yeah. Well, I do have some puke stories that are like maybe too personal. I'm questioning whether I should tell them or not.
Just
But
tell them like they happened to a friend of yours.
I think I can tell the story. It's whatever. But like when I was a kid, to get out of school, I used to like, stick my finger down my throat and like make myself throw up.
Okay.
So I feel like from doing that, like I've developed a pretty weak like gag reflex. And one of my puke stories is like I was at a party one time, and when I was younger, like 17, I had no tolerance to alcohol, like at all. And there was some guy at this party that was like giving people his like home brewed beer. He's like, check it out, like I brewed this, and like he like gave me a sip of it. And when I took the sip, I immediately like threw up all over myself in front of everybody. So that was rough.
So when was the last time that you puked? Like within the last couple months?
I mean, probably. I don't remember exactly, but I know it wasn't like that long ago. I mean, it probably was related to drinking, honestly. But other than that, there has been times like it's not all from drinking. Like there's been plenty of times this year where I've just woken up in the middle of the night, like with the need to throw up, and like I'm not even sure why. I think it must have been like food poisoning or something. But yeah, I've just like randomly woken up and had to throw up and stuff like that. So,
Do you side with Frank in regards to puke doesn't bother you? Like puke is disgusting.
no, puke bothers me. Especially bothers me. Well, my own puke doesn't bother me, but other people's puke bothers me. Like I don't want to see that. And it does bother me even a little bit hearing about it, but I try to get through it.
And it's like warm and it's disgusting. Even if it's your own puke, if you're like having to clean it up, it's horrible. Even like cleaning up like animals puke is disgusting.
No, I hate. Oh God, I have dogs, and yeah, that's just the worst. But yeah, but I feel like I've developed a little bit of like a tick, into where whenever I puke, like even if I'm like wasted, I've never been so wasted that I can't control myself like a little bit. So even if I'm just completely out of it, I like start cleaning it all to make sure there's like nothing like laying everywhere.
So do you like when Film Junk like goes blue, where they will like talk about something that's gross, like when it goes to like gross out humor? Is that appealing to you?
I mean, it depends on the situation, I guess. I mean, just in terms of comedy in general, I'm not like big on fart humor. Even like my favorite movie of all time is The Master, but that has some fart jokes, and I kind of like roll my eyes a little bit. And yeah, I'm not too big usually on like humor like that, but the only thing is like Tim and Eric, like they take it so far, like with their like diarrhea machine and like just shooting diarrhea all over the place. Like some of that can be funny, but
So when they talk about it on FJ, you generally find it funny then?
generally, I mean, sometimes when Jay like burps into the mic, like I don't like necessarily like laugh at that. But
I just
but other
like
times I do.
I'm just like this like 40-year-old guy is like like ripping like this huge burp, and yeah, that's actually funny to me. But yeah,
Howard Stern does that too, but yeah.
I mean it's a cultural problem. I mean it reflects on our society. There's no dignity anymore. Like we got to fix it.
Yeah, that's true.
But you brought this up, and I think it ended up courtesy of Kay going to the Discord, and there was a bunch of puke stories there. So do you have any juicy ones that you think are worth sharing?
Not too many. I mean, I'm scrolling through. There was tons of puke stories. I know Kay shared one that I felt bad for. She went to a concert, she said, and she was excited to see the band, and then all of a sudden she had to throw up, and she was like rushing to the bathroom, and then puked like in the lobby because she couldn't make it, and then security like told her she couldn't come back into the show, and then she was very upset. But that definitely sucks. But yeah, I shared my own story. I had another one about puking after I ate too much Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was puking behind a dumpster.
Do you remember what flavor wings?
Let's see here. Or go ahead.
Do you remember what flavor wings you were eating?
Usually I always get medium, so I have a nice chill heat. There is heat, but it's not too much. Blake told some weird ones. Blake from Boston, or he's called Spectral Blake now. He says he got food poisoning in college to the point where he could not hold down any water. He used this to perform a fun trick for friends. He says, I would knock on their door and proceed to chug an entire glass of water. Typically, as my friends respond with, what are you doing? I would then promptly vomit the water back into the glass with relatively clear results. I would then walk away without saying a word.
Man, why is he not Blake from Booston?
Yeah.
That's better
perfect.
than Spectral Blake.
Yeah, but that was a pretty good story. And there's tons more here. It went on for quite a while.
And what forum was that? What server was that in?
That was in the general server. And yeah, Kay tagged everyone. So everyone got a notification about asking for puke stories. And it lit the whole world on fire. It was huge.
Do you think that Sean has ever puked?
I'm sure he has, but he definitely seems like one of those people that would like not do it for years.
Yeah, it seems like he's just kind of at one with his environment. So anything he ingests just perfectly economically turns into energy and then is expelled from his body, likely in like a perfect cube. So it's just he's just kind of like he's reached the potential of man, in my opinion, and I cannot imagine him throwing up.
Yeah, it would be hard to imagine. I know Jay told a pretty good puke story that sticks in my mind. This is from like the older years of Film Junk, but he was talking about when he was like 10 or something, watching Short Circuit 2, and just puking constantly throughout the movie. And he just like he was upset because he was like, I just want to watch Short Circuit 2. And he was just continually puking.
Isn't there I was thinking of Sean telling a story about puking when he was younger, and he was like watching a movie at a sleepover or something, and he like
I think there was something like that.
Yeah, and he like ran outside and like puked. So I guess there is a Sean puke story. I remember Jay said something. I can't remember what it was, unfortunately. But everybody pukes. That's the lesson here. And Frankie will catch it and not be bothered by it. So, but I actually have some audio of you almost puking. If you want me to play it here,
you go ahead. This is definitely an interesting clip.
This is Drew doing the cinnamon challenge. Like when it was not cool, which makes it cool.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm gonna do the cinnamon challenge right now. I'm gonna die. Yeah.
Drew, how many views did that video get?
Oh, I'd have to go look. I don't think it's any more than like 20.
Was it worth facing death for?
Probably not.
I encourage everyone to seek that video out simply because it is like surprisingly cinematic, And you have that little bit of The Shining, which you explained to me was not intentional, which is awesome.
No, that's the weird thing. I just wanted to, I thought it'd be funny because that was 5 years after the Cinnamon Challenge was popular. This is still a long time ago. This is in 2012, but the Cinnamon Challenge was probably popular in 2007. But yeah, I just randomly decided to do it. But then, I was trying to be a little weird and funny, which kind of makes me cringe looking back on it. But I did have The Shining playing in the background. And I just decided to make this while I was watching The Shining on TV. I hadn't set it up as a watch, I'd put in the Blu-ray or anything. It was on that broadcast TV. So it wasn't a dedicated watch. So I just got up and started doing this. And the music managed to perfectly sync with the video in a way that was, not what I intended, but which was awesome. So
that's art. Happy accident, dude.
Do what, sorry?
Happy accident.
Yeah, for sure. And I've had tons of videos that I've deleted on that channel, going back to 2009 probably. But I've never deleted that one because I think it's kind of funny and it's a good first video. Well, it's not my first video, but it's the first video on that channel. So.
And it gave us some audio of you almost puking. So.
Yeah, there was a very hardcore gag in there.
So do you want more puking on a Film Junk?
Well, if they can manage to puke on the show, I think that'd be good.
I mean, if
they can do that,
we've had an on-air passing of gas, so we will definitely. I mean, who knows where things will go in the future, and we might get a live on-air throw-up.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. That'd be on a list of things that we'll probably never see happen. Somebody puking on the show. Maybe somebody breaking down into tears on the show. There's all kinds of things, but
I would love to see someone break down in tears on the show. That would be crazy.
Maybe they just their opinion is just challenged so much that they just can't take it and they break down.
They're hardened. They've gone so far with each other. I think it would be very difficult. Yeah, for them to get under someone's skin enough that they couldn't make the excuse that their reaction was performative.
Well, one thing that I will mention, and it's not breaking down into tears, but there was a weird moment a while ago. This is 2019, and it was they were talking about Joker. And this is before the movie even came out. And they were kind of just talking about everything that was going on around it, about people talking about does violence affect people in real life or violence on film. And then Reed got very triggered and was screaming about how violence in film does affect people or does affect people to enact real violence, and was basically yelling at everybody. So that was very odd. That's in one of the weird. I'd put that in a list of unusual Film Junk moments.
But Jerry practices primal scream therapy. So we can't, we can't kind of get on him too much just for doing whatever he does in regards to stay fit. And Jerry's an old man now, so.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of the short film, The Politics of Board Gaming, where he starts yelling at everybody. It felt like one of those moments, but it was definitely interesting.
Interesting indeed.
Yes.
And with that, I think we should bring a close to this episode of Mouthbreathers Radio. Drew, do you got anything else for the listeners?
No, I think that's about it. As always, if you want to check out my Patreon, I've been having some ideas of some stuff I might make exclusive on there. So that's patreon.com/Nugentino Cinema. And you can also always get the RSS feed for this show on there. And I believe we also have an email, mouthbreathersradio@gmail.com. If you want to throw in some questions in there. And we'll always monitor the Discord. And I think that's about all the things I have to say. But yeah, it's a good episode.
So I think that's it. I'm FilmApe.
And I'm Drew.
Talk to you later.
Bye.